the dungeon of... I can't pronounce that stadium name. DC is our destination here for Sunday. I just randomly looked at that stadium name and of course I can't work out how that's pronounced. I do apologize, but we've got a really good game here teed up in the nation's capital here between the DC Dragons and the Denver Nightwings. These two teams in desperate need of a win for opposite reasons. Denver trying to keep their season alive after knocking off the undefeated Arizona Scorpions last week. DC looking to get back in the winners column after 3 straight, then a loss to the Lexington Miners. They sit at 500, trying to put themselves further into the playoff hunt. Alongside with this evening to break down this one is Brett Solberg. Brett, welcome to the booth again, back with you. What are the keys to the matchup tonight?
Yeah, the big thing for both these teams is that they need to get on to things early. Both these teams are very much a dominant team when they get ahead early in the contest. If they fall behind at any point, they are not going to prevail in this matchup. So it's all about who strikes first here at the Dungeon of Dracarys Stadium here in DC.
Dracarys, I can't read. So that's why I got the dungeon part and the Coliseum part, but I didn't get the Dracarys right. So I'll make sure I mention that 5 times tonight so I remember it. Denver are going to have first possession here. Returned up inside the end zone and up past the 25 to the 28 there. Logan Keel on the opening return, and this Denver offense led out by quarterback Gene Struthers, Bailey O'Shaughnessy, and Ari Mills. The backs, the receivers Logan Keel, Jeremy Mosley, and Dylan Lewis. No Dalton Barker tonight. He is inactive. The tight ends, Chris Alder, Marquise Sango, and the line, Marcella Martin and Carly Forge. Again, this Denver unit had a huge week last week. They pulled off the upset of the season and knocking off the Arizona Scorpions as the fullback R.E. Mills on that opening carry picks up 9 yards.
And again, you're looking early on at how things were more prevailing for Denver last week against that Arizona daunted defense. They worked well in balancing their game and making sure that they got their points in the right ways.
Second down carry here in the backfield. It's a receiver by the looks of it who's gotten that carry there. Jeremy Mosley getting some backfield work. So that's something we've seen in fits and spurts this season. It's resulted in a first down for the Nightwings. And now on a fresh set of downs, they'll trot out a 4-wide bunch formation here. Hand off to the backfield. And it'll be a carry for a gain of nothing there. Stopped right at the line there.
Well, interesting enough, we've seen 3 runs so far, none from Bailey O'Shaughnessy so far, and it's not going to be a run this time. You can see O'Shaughnessy on the right-hand slot on this 5-receiver set.
Good call there. Struthers is going to throw it in that direction, but it's incomplete there. Good coverage on the play, so DC's defense locked in there. Tyler Highfield with an early tip, and now DC have got to try and hold it one more time. Denver with a 3rd down and long upcoming. Struthers with a 4-wide on the other side. Single back here, so O'Shaughnessy behind him. Corners playing right back at the line again. There'll be a play fake. Struthers will roll out, looking downfield, cross in between the numbers. It's incomplete. Couldn't quite fire it in the direction of Marquise Sango. And a tip come up there for Josh Vasquez there to stop the drive in its tracks.
And it's one of the main issues with Denver's offense throughout this season. Just 6 receptions amongst their 2 tight ends. It's good to get them going. We are a league that loves to pass to our tight ends. They need to get them involved. It was a good first look to Sango.
Punt sails away, fielded at the 20 and returned up past the 25, and then some. Got some returning space here on the outside. Still going bye-bye into open space all the way home. Sam Harrison inside the 10, and DC haven't even touched the football on offense, and they've got 6 points on the board.
And DC giving Denver a little dose of their medicine, because they got the opening score in the Arizona game by getting a punt return touchdown from their side. So Sam Harrison, the second running back in that 2 running back set, says, you know what, we don't need to get our offense out. I'm going to do things myself. Get to the house, and straight to 6 on the board early on for this DC Dragon squad.
Harrison is the primary returner on this roster. He spent his first season with the Dragons as a receiver and has spent 2 seasons as the second tailback to Kevin Say, and gets a return touchdown on the punt. We haven't seen one of those in this league in a little while now, and we've got one on the board here, and the Dragons very quickly getting the opening score here at home.
We've seen this before. That's Sam Harrison's second punt return touchdown this season. So you always got to be careful of where he's going to be on these punt returns.
So straight away, Denver find themselves back on offense, but down on the scoreboard. And Keel again on the return gets this one up past the 30, and will introduce the DC defense. Kato Fortson, John Gary, Mike Wagner, who leads the league in sacks of the defensive line. Jason Bourne is also inactive for this DC roster. Nick Fargo, Jason Strongbow, and Saeed Gore, the linebackers in this loaded secondary. Peanut Sage, Adoobie Doo, was also contributing on stats tonight. Daryl Bullock, and the safeties are John DeSantis, Tyler Highfield, Josh Vasquez, and Kev Say Jr. So Denver with a fresh possession here, and not 2 minutes off the clock. And they're on their second drive. Receiver pulled in motion. And a handoff up the middle. That's not going to get anything. It stopped right at the middle. So Ari Mills has had 2 carries. The first went for 9. The next one went for 0.
Yeah, and these are 2 teams that love to run the ball. So DC's point of attack defensively has to be stopping this run. Really surprisingly, though, we're starting the second drive. We still have yet to see a carry from Bailey O'Shaughnessy.
Drop back again from Struthers. That's wide open and caught for a first down. Dylan Lewis, first target of the game, and he's got a first down.
Yeah, and one of the things that I wanted to see from this Denver offense is to get Gene Struthers going a little bit more. We talk about this run game, being potent at times, but only 15 pass attempts last week against Arizona. And I feel like if you're going to be a quarterback in this league, you've got to throw more, and you see why. Those big gains, just like we saw here.
Struthers starting to find momentum in this campaign, that's for sure and certain. And on a fresh set of downs here inside DC territory, slings it downfield again. That time, receiver had it in 2 hands and lost control of it, incomplete. That's the backup that's in the place of Dalton Barker tonight. And DC gets away with one there.
Yeah, you can see just the experience versus inexperience. Paul Arnold had 1 foot down after the catch, but, just a simple wrap can jar that ball loose and at least to an incompletion.
3 wide here, so Denver trying to make use of formations that keep their free starters on the field. O'Shaughnessy's going back in the wrong direction, and he'll be tackled behind the line of scrimmage there for a loss of 1. Brings up a 3rd and long here, but again, Denver have had a decent attempt here trying to heave the ball downfield. So Struthers has got 3 targets again to throw to. 4 wide here on the split. 4-1 defense out of DC. They're going to play the corners nice and close. Short coverage. Struthers throws back across. That's incomplete. Tried to find the veteran in Jeremy Mosley, but Tyler Highfield's had a strong start to this game and forces that incomplete.
Yeah, and Mosley's going to be the guy that Struthers is probably going to keep his targets to. You have to remember last week Mosley had his first 100-yard receiving campaign since March the 3rd. We're talking midway through last season. So you want to keep him hot.
Punt will sail away, so DC are going to get another opportunity. Sam Harrison could possibly do it again, could he? And that time they're all over him inside the 20 there, and DC are going to take over at their own 17. Quarterback Shabazz Synergy leads out this offense. Kevin Say and the aforementioned Sam Harrison, the backs with Chuck Stella, the fullback, the 2 receivers, Mason Kirby and Josh Gill, 2 tight ends, Jay Hayden and the incredible Lauren Pococco. And the offensive line consists of Robert Cron, James Judah, Michael Pococco, Quinn Zook, and Ezekiel Rubin. 5 individuals on the line, 3 of which are current undrafted free agent rookies signed in the season here. That run to the outside for Kevin Say stopped behind the line of scrimmage, so a positive start for Denver on defense, who again stood tall last week against the before undefeated Arizona Scorpions. That was Stephon Forge, but it's been John Martin, the other outside linebacker, who has really stole the show over the last couple of weeks. He has really lit up the campaign. That's a short throw across the middle, caught for a gain of 9.5. In fact, they're going to give Lauren Percoco the first down.
That was going to be very close to the first down marker. Early test to see if head coach Jeremy Vega is going to throw that challenge flag or not. But nonetheless, this DC passing offense starts and stops with Lauren Percoco. If she gets her targets, that passing offense is going to turn out just fine. And we saw it last week in the form of 180 yards in the losing affair against Lexington.
She is just the #1 target in this offense. This is a formation they're very familiar with. They run a lot of ace. That's a formation up the middle. And run, rather, to Kevin Say. Picks up 5 yards that time after the first run. And that's a 1-yard loss. John Martin on that tackle. Opens up the playbook here on second down.
Yeah, and in the ace formation is probably one of DC's more favorable formations because they can get a quick handoff to Kevin Say and get those yards.
Sam Harrison is in the backfield here for this carry. He's already found open space so far today. That one nearly broke free. Another tough call there as Harrison picks up the first down.
Another close call, but they're going to give him the first down again and just resets the chains. And he's early on in this drive, you're seeing the composure of Shabazz Synergy early on.
Couple of tough calls here that have kept the challenge flag in the pocket of Jeremy Vega. The handoff up the middle. Say beat the first tackle, as in nailed to the ground there by Jeff Melanishan after a pickup of 6. And thus far, Denver just can't pick up any luck at the moment. And reflecting the thoughts of the chat at the moment, this uniform combination is really nice. The all-black alternative for DC and the white and blue gradient on the other side of the ball for Denver. Really nice look on either side. Hand off for Harrison. Another spin move. Sam Harrison is starting to heat up in this game. He's got it up over halfway.
Not only is he starting to heat up in this game, he's starting to heat up through this season as well. Just 8 carries, but got 59 yards in the Lexington game. So they're going to trust in his legs a little bit more here tonight.
One of the premier backup tailbacks in this league, ones that come out and spell the main runner. That being Kevin Say. This time he is planted at the line of scrimmage again, so Denver are keyed in on him early. Joseph Sabolka, the veteran defensive tackle, in on that stop. And again, Denver, the strength of their defense is up front. They've got 5 linemen that can push pressure on the running game, and Shabazz Synergy here today, but they're back in the ace. Short drop back from Synergy. There's Percoco. Picks up 8.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of quick passes to Percoco in these short routes so that later on in this game, she's going to get open on the go route. She's going to get open on those post routes. That's the key early on to get Percoco those short completions to get to the long one.
A heavy set here on the run for Kevin Say. They're going to try and get pressure up front, but he got through it. John Martin couldn't get there in time, and Kevin Say's got a 3-yard pickup and a first down.
Yeah, and this is what DC really needs to do. They need to balance that run and pass game and really get Denver's defense guessing. Get past that line of scrimmage. That is the key to this DC offense.
Spread look as DC start to etch their way into Denver territory. That's another run for Harrison. Picks up 4 yards on that carry. In fact, it was Chuck Stella, the fullback, with his first carry. So now all 3 backs have had a touch here so far today. And now back to it again. Say in the backfield in a Joker's formation. Again, Denver load up the front 7. Playing it nice and close, but Say's got some space on the outside. He got the leg drive going. Picks up an extra 4 yards. And that makes third down a relative 2-yard stop.
And this was the case of Say just getting ahead of his blocking lineman. And if he would have just stayed with that pack, he probably would have gotten the first down. But a 3rd and 2 scenario coming up for DC.
Another short yardage situation. They're going to hand the ball off to Harrison, who's been electric thus far. And he's keeping with the theme here as Sam Harrison picks up another 5 yards and a first down.
Excellent balance of run between Say and Harrison. They both touched this rock and combined 9 times just on this drive alone. This has been their lone drive. They're on 12th play now.
Another run for Say. He is met at the line of scrimmage there, so a response needed and a response made. Now, once again, Sabolka involved. It's Say from getting much further forward. Harrison's back in at the moment It's pretty impressive that Harrison looks like the more dynamic back at the moment. That's no knock on Kevin Say either. 3 wide here for the Dragons. Handoff to Harrison. He's met this time. They got all over him. So Denver respond well there. John Martin, another important tackle. And DC forced into a 3rd down and long for the first time in this drive.
Yeah, and it's not like these two guys are really too different when it comes to size. They're both 6 feet, 200 pounds. So it's just Harrison, I think, just a little bit surprising to see over the last couple of games his progression.
That throw was overhit there, and the Dragons, they completed 3 3rd downs on that drive, but couldn't get that one when they were forced to pass. Bakoko, a unlikely drop there, and they'll be forced to take a field goal here to extend this out to 10. Off the leg of Caleb Richards, first season kicker, spent 4 with Motor City. It's his first with the Dragons, nets this one, and DC takes it out to a 10-point lead.
Looking at that drive, 16 plays, and they got all that done in about 4 minutes time. So that's about 5 minutes time. So that pace that they're looking to get is really slow things down, turn it into their, drag out the clock kind of offense.
Caleb Richards remains perfect on the season. And Denver gets another opportunity of possession after their last drive was successful, just didn't quite finish the way that they wanted it to. And they'll take back over here, but they're in the contest at the moment, which is right where they need to be. And Logan Keel hasn't been targeted yet, getting the work in though on returns. It's been a mixed bag thus far for Gene Struthers, trying to settle things down here on this possession. It's their 3rd of the game. Struthers single back off to the left, 3 wide, plus a tight end in the line. Pressure come off the edge. R.A. Mills, another carry. He's had the most carries out of this entire offense. And he picks up a few yards, well read by Strongbow.
Yeah, and then it looks like Denver's trying to establish their offense, be seeing how far they can get in the run, and they aren't really getting too far, so it's forcing them to pass on these 2nd and 3rd down scenarios. And Struthers ain't ready for it so far. 0-4 to start off the game.
Struthers has not quite hit his stride just yet. Logan Keel moved in motion. Drops back again. This time the protection was good, but it's picked. Great play by Saeed Gore. Going back in the other direction to the 10. Bye-bye. Saeed Gore, 6 points off the pick.
Now, we talked about how Denver had this miraculous game where they had 17 unanswered points against Arizona. Well, how about this? DC starts off the game by saying, you know what? We'll give ourselves 17 if you want to replicate something of last week. And right now, it's been that defense that has been so elite at moments. And finally, Saeed Gore gets himself a pick 6 as a reward for the tough defense that they've played through these first 10 minutes. What a start for the Dragons.
Tough pill to swallow for Denver. It was an athletic hit pick by Saeed Gore, and then Nick Fargo, like he was an offensive tight end, put a block on, and that got into the outside. And the 6th season outside linebacker picks up a pick 6, and that is really detrimental to Denver, because now inside the first quarter they find themselves down 17 points to nothing, and they've had 2 touchdowns scored against them where their defense wasn't even on the field. Unbelievably. And now, in the first quarter, Denver are going to have a 4th possession as Logan Keel returns this up to the 28, basically where they've started every other drive. And Gene Struthers has just got to quickly shake that off.
Yeah, 4th drive, and they only have 15 yards to their name. It's definitely been a struggle in this first quarter. This is the drive that Denver needs to start moving forward.
Be quick about your business now if you're Denver and get something efficient going. Pressure off that edge didn't get there, but O'Shaughnessy ran straight into the traffic up the middle, and Gore getting it done on the run coverage as well. Quarter done here in DC. It's the Dragons who are up big on the Denver Nightwings here, 17 points to nothing. Aerial coverage of today's game is provided by Dags Droneworks, aerial photography and videography services for real estate, events, marketing, and more. Learn more at dagsdroneworks.com. Back here in DC, Denver with possession again, but it was a tough first quarter for the Nightwings. They conceded 2 touchdowns without their defense being on the field. A Sam Harrison punt return and a Saeed Gore pick 6 on the final drive of DC's quarter. And now a throw to the backfield. O'Shaughnessy, still no forward progress for him on offer today. Strongbow chases him down, tackles him at the line of scrimmage.
A little bit of an awkward catch for O'Shaughnessy as he was outstretching his arms behind the line, had to turn himself around just to try to get back to the line of scrimmage. And thankfully for him, he does, but he gets met immediately by a DC defender.
4 wide here for the Nightwings on 3rd down and long. That's a play fake. Struthers on the outside. He had time. Throws it downfield. That's in and out of hands of the defender. Couldn't quite find the way through to the tight end. They ran the deep route, but it's another 4th down stop, and the Dragons offense is going to get the football back.
Yeah, good work by the deep safeties. More specifically, that was John DeSantis on the deflection to get his hands on the football. And right now, DC has guessed right on anywhere that Struthers is throwing that ball deep.
It sails away, and now DC are really in control of this game as Sam Harrison returns that up past the 35 to the 36. And again, Denver just in a really vicarious spot. That's a place that they didn't expect to be. Obviously, the big win last week is the momentum breaker that they needed to get their season on the road here. But they find themselves down big early, really through no fault of their defense. It's just been a case of 2 breakaway plays. And this Dragons offense, Dragons special teams unit and defensive unit that have been able to produce. And now their offense has got an opportunity to put up a score of their own. Hand off to the outside. Say got a carry. Picks up 6 yards there, and that running game just continues. The way that this is going is going to drain a heap of clock off the board.
And now with this 17-point lead, I think it's safe to say at this stage, I don't think we're going to see Shabazz synergy like we did last week with his 36 pass attempts. I think they're going to get just fine with that run offense.
And off to Harrison for progress again, and then some. John Martin had to hang on. Otherwise, Sam Harrison was gone downfield once again, but he still picks up the 1st down.
Yeah, it would be pretty crazy if Harrison would have broke off on that run, because then we're talking about a first half punt return touchdown and a big, probably 65-yard run for a rushing touchdown as well. Harrison has been on point through these first 11 and a half minutes.
He is threatening to break one off again here, Sam Harrison. And now DC already find themselves inside Denver territory. Split spread formation, toss to the outside. That's met behind the line of scrimmage. Good result there as Chuck Stella loses a yard.
Yeah, and what I'm liking from DC's run offense is that they're not picking an exclusive side to run the ball. We've seen it from the inside, stretch runs. Now we've seen some tosses. It's been great work from the DC offense to keep the Denver defense guessing.
Set eye here, another toss play to the outside. These have been hit or miss thus far for the Dragons offense, and it's a tackle for loss again there for Joseph Savolka. Brings up a 3rd down and long here for the Denver Nightwings on defense, so an opportunity for a stop they really need. Synergy is going to be forced to throw here. Has not thrown any receiver yet outside of Pokoko. Throws middle side of the field. That's going to be short of the sticks. Again, it was Pokoko on the target, but Denver gets a stop.
Yeah, another quick play, seeing if they could get the yards after the catch, but secondary and defense was right at the task. Stayed right with their men and didn't really have to worry about it too much after the catch.
So Denver not too panicked as of yet, despite the scoreline. This will be fair caught, though, just beyond the 10, so that's a tough spot there. It means it's going to be a 89-odd yard drive here to try and get a major score on the board, but still plenty of time left in the second for the Nightwings to try and produce something here and get this one going forward. Struthers has yet to find a receiver downfield so far today. Needs to fix that because the run game is struggling here on offense. Get a motion, a tight end across in the bunch formation, so they've got to use their weapons wisely. Handoff to O'Shaughnessy. Gets 4 progress there. And it's only 2 yards. That's a tough spot there for the running back. Again, worth noting, Struthers has started 0 for 7 here in this one. The only completion he's made thus far. And now on a second down and short, they're going to bring a twins formation out. Struthers drops back. There was pressure there. Fires it outside. That's the completion he needed. Picks up 4 odd yards there on the target to Marquis Sango. And now 3rd down and short.
Yeah, and now they've got themselves, probably for the first time in this game, a 3rd and short scenario. So they could really go with any route. This could be perfect R.E. Mills territory for a run up the gut.
Right on call, but it's not there. R.E. Mills is short of the sticks. Jason Strongbow again on that tackle, and the Denver drive stops exactly where it started.
And the big thing for me is that they went with a toss play with Mills instead of going right up the gut. He is a big boy. You've got to trust in his strength to get to the 1st down marker.
It's Mills' 4th carry, but he's been able to get much out of those 4 carries, and now Harrison is going to start this drive for the Dragons just shy of halfway, so the pressure on Denver building even more so now.
Yeah, and right now Harrison's doing everything right to shut off a tackler and get extra, punt yardage. I think Harrison is right now through this first half has had one of the better performances as a punt returner already this season, not just from his punt return touchdown, but just breaking open and getting, 7, 8, 9 yard returns and getting DC in a better position.
Offset high here, split receivers on either side, handoff to Say, carries it forward, picks up 5 yards there, and keeps this Dragons rushing offense going in the right direction. And again, Synergy has not had to do much today. He's 3 for 4, has converted when needed to, but it's been the backs that have just motored this ball forward. And again, the splits are pretty comfortable. Harrison's had 5 stays, had 10. And this is the 6th carry for Sam Harrison. He stopped short of the sticks, so Denver's defense, another quick opportunity here for a 3rd down shot.
15 minutes into this game, and this rushing off from some DC already has over 60 yards. So they're really working well to get that rush game going, and it's been working effectively. Now 3rd and 2, this could be a pass.
Ace formation, handoff to Say, didn't get it. He's a yard shy of where he needed to be. Jeff Melanishin, veteran play made by a veteran player there, and DC going to punt it straight back to Denver, so their defense is doing what they can at the moment. This Denver Nightwings defense has really shown up for this contest. It's their offense that needs to get something going here. I'll have another shot at this, but the punt is going to be fielded in tough territory. Return up the sideline, though. Well done, Logan Keel. Got that past the 20 to the 23. Gives them a bit more breathing room.
Yeah. Part of me was hoping that Caleb Richards was going to try to attempt that from 57 yards out, but that's just, that's the masochist in me that loves to see, deep field goals. I don't think we've seen anything further than 52 yards this season.
He's 10 for 10 on the campaign. I don't think he had any interest in trying to put that record at any risk, as R.E. Mills gets a carry up the middle there. And picks up 3 yards. Again, this Denver rushing offense is struggling to get forward. This DC front 7 is missing Jason Bourne. They still have the outstanding Mike Wagner, who leads the league in sacks, but they're lacking a little bit of run coverage at the moment, but have done a really outstanding job in his absence. This carry for O'Shaughnessy is going to be met at the line of scrimmage. So back-to-back rushing plays that don't get much forward progress there, and this is going to be a 3rd down and medium.
Yeah, and with the absence of Bourne, what we're seeing is that the safeties and secondary are coming in as support for that run. That's the 2nd time in this half we've seen John DeSantis on a run support play.
3 wide for Struthers, needs to find a completion here for the 2nd time today. Fires it, that's caught for a 1st down, and Denver can move the chains.
Yeah, they got to trust on Mosley if he's going to get those 1st downs. And just like that, first time downfield, we've seen Struthers complete a pass, and that was a tough one. He had 2 defenders, 2 linebackers right on Mosley, so it was good accuracy from Struthers. and maybe this could be the catalyst of something good to come for Struthers and company.
Keel and Mosley have 22 seasons of combined experience, so plenty of options for Struthers to throw to, but that's another run that O'Shaughnessy couldn't get any forward progress on. Saeed Gore has been having an afternoon here. He gets a tackle at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, right now this run game has been basically non-existent through this first half and might have to just force the pass for the rest of this drive.
Struthers will throw. That's incomplete. Boy, he nearly had another one there. Saeed Gore, he is involved in everything today. And that's going to bring up a third down and long here for Denver. And again, Struthers just struggling to find his targets downfield. Can't quite. It hasn't even been the secondary that's been making the plays. It's this linebacking core from DC that's been all over the field today. And they're going to have to.
Specifically on Strongbow and Gore, those two have been really good this first half.
Struthers, open man downfield, got it in one-on-one coverage. That's a great grab by Dylan Lewis, and that's going to be a first down inside DC territory for the first time today for the Nightwings.
Yeah, and ever since the appointment of the new coordinators that came in for Denver, we've been starting to see more of these deeper money plays from Denver, specifically on third down situations, and they're really starting to pay off. It didn't really start working until maybe the second or third week these new coaches were in, but it's working in key moments.
Empty back set throw, it's incomplete. That one was a little bit too low for Keel to hang on to, so he's yet to have a completion today, but you're absolutely right. This new coaching staff in Denver not afraid to let these receivers work downfield. Dylan Lewis has certainly a talent in the slot, one-time All-Star in his 4 seasons with the Nightwings. And again, the boatload of experience between Mosley and Keel gives him some quality options to throw to. He'll go again here, throw to the backfield though, and R.A. Mills is nailed at the line of scrimmage there once again by Saeed Gore, and it'll bring up a third down and long for the Nightwings.
They've tried this, I think, 3 or 4 times up to this stage, and it's resulted them in what, a net 0 yards on the swing passes. That might be time to, trash that come the second half.
Down and long, they're not in field goal range, so a first down is required if they want points. That's incomplete. Had a shot at it there. Was Dylan Lewis, but he couldn't come up with it. Jadoobie Do there on the incompletion.
Yeah, and those struggles continue for Struthers. Now 4 of 14 in this first half.
Brings us to the 2-minute warning there. Off the back of the coverage work from Darryl Bullock there to force that one incomplete, and now the Nightwings are going to force this punt downfield to try and make sure they don't concede again before the half is out. But again, still not completely out of reach. 3 scores is certainly attainable in the second half here, but they need to make sure they don't walk out of here even further behind at the half. That punt is fielded inside the 15.
All right, put on your headphones there, Mr. Clear. You're the head coach of the Dragons. Do you want to push this lead to 24 before halftime? You got $1:52 left, or do you just want to stretch this clock out heading to halftime?
Well, they're going to do the exact same thing that they were doing this entire half, and they're going to run the football, and that might be enough to get them downfield to at least get a scoring position with the amount of time they've got here left on the clock. It'll be a run for Say. That's what they need. Run up the middle, 9-yard pickup for Kevin Say. No one touched him there for a good 7 yards or so.
Yeah, that looked like wide open space on the right side, and it took a cut to the inside for Say to get to a tackler. I just wonder if he would have cut to the outside. That might have been 50 yards at the minimum.
Irrespective, they can wind some clock off here, and Harrison will check in the backfield. Got to make sure he doesn't break one off. He just goes straight up the gut, picks up the first down, and goes down at the first line of contact. And Gerald Cumbus has gone down. So Denver's struggles continue here. They cannot catch a break at the moment, Brett.
Yeah, I was going to talk about how our other broadcaster that we've seen today, Eddie Gage, he loves to talk about that A gap for the runners, and DC has done a great job just breaking that wide open in the middle of runs, and now with this injury to Gerald Cumbus, that A gap is just going to get even more open.
And with a player like Michael Pokoko to create blocks up front, that's a huge piece for them. That's just really presents those opportunities for these backs to work into. Harrison on the outside can't quite find that one. In fact, it was Stella, the fullback, can't get the forward progress there. So a stop from Lucas DeVore. And that's going to take us just outside of a minute left and a half. And Denver still in relative control of this drive to try and go into the half with this score intact. They go handoff to Say, and again, a good coverage play there, centered from Stefan Forge, and that keeps them at a 3rd down and long upcoming.
And we talked about how John Martin could be the key to this defense. Stefan Forge already has 10 total tackles to his name, five solo and 5 assists.
It's been an afternoon and a half for him thus far. He's been busy. That throw from Synergy is incomplete. So DC don't quite get the job done on that drive. They weren't aggressive, though, in trying to extend this scoreline. They're happy with a 17-0 lead, and you can't really blame them. And Denver are going to get one last shot here before the half is out. Now, Denver definitely are going to try and push this downfield, because any opportunity at points is a good thing, and they need to try and capitalize on that. Got to make sure that Logan Keel doesn't quite get some space here on this return, though. The blocking on the far side didn't quite develop, and Keel's going to be met at the 35. So not completely out of the question here, Brett, that they go for something here before the half is out.
Yeah, and it's been a little bit of a struggle. You saw the ticker there, 62 first half yards. They need about another 35 to get themselves in comfortable field goal range at the very minimum here with this last 26 seconds.
They do have an excellent kicker in Jordan Bradshaw, who can nail a long ranger. But they need to get into that kind of range first before they can think about that with 25 seconds on the clock. All 3 timeouts intact. Throw downfield. That's incomplete. Almost had that one there was Logan Keel, but the coverage again is strong. Peanuts Say on that play.
Yeah, and they could just keep slinging the rock here in the on this drive, because any incompletion is going to have them stop the clock. They can change their formation, and they can do just fine. They've got the timeouts to use, but I think the big key here, get the field goal range, get some points on the board.
Try it again here. Struthers throws short. That's incomplete. That was at the ankles of Logan Keel. The service has not been good for the 12-season veteran here in this opening half. And now on a 3rd down and long, clock stops again, obviously. And Struthers will have O'Shaughnessy behind him in a bunch formation down to the left. Single receiver up the top with plenty of space. Struthers will drop back. Rushed it himself. He's going to go down. And DC have got a sack, and it's the sack leader on the season, Mike Wagner, who's got his 9th.
Yeah, put him down for number 9 on the board for him this season. Now up to 18.5 in his career, slowly climbing up those leaderboards, and it's going to be big to force that situation. We're going to get to the end of halftime, but getting a sack to end the half is huge for DC's defense.
Score remains as it was at the end of the first quarter. DC leads this one 17 points to nothing. Rex Solberg, unpack what we just saw in that opening half.
Basically, it's just defensive dominance coming from this DC Dragon squad. Just 57 yards allowed. That last drive took off 5 yards. So Denver is just struggling from all fronts right now. The run game that they love to use has been non-existent so far. Just 23 yards. Gene Struthers, 4 of 16. QBR of 13.5. He's not looking like, you know, himself from last week. He's looking like early season Gene Struthers, who is struggling to get out of the gates. DC have just been trolling things along in terms of their run game, and more specifically that catalyst to break things open. Sam Harrison has done things on the punt return as well as in the run game. 38 yards on 7 carries. He's definitely been the first half MVP for me.
So Gore is the official halftime player. Let's take a quick halftime break presented by Brakes GPT.
We just pulled a full-size Taylor Swift helmet. Shout out to all our Swifties. Travis Kelce. This is a Giants Lawrence Taylor.
Patrick Mahomes.
Chad Johnson with the Ocho Cinco.
We have a Drew Brees.
Is that an O.J. Simpson jersey?
An Aaron Rodgers.
Oh my goodness.
Tom Brady! Tom Brady!
If you like what you saw there, you too can break into the world of sports memorabilia collecting with Brakes GPT, featuring signed football jerseys, helmets, photos, and more. Brakes GPT offers you a shot at winning autographed and authenticated sports memorabilia at a fraction of the price. Join the community collectors and the Brakes GPT Facebook page and back your shot hitting a humongous headliner on the site, hgpt.com. Sam Harrison on the return there, gets it up past the 20 to the 23, and DC gets first shot at it here in the second half.
Yeah, and this might be just a slow, methodical drive that is, you know, very accurate to that first actual drive that they had. 11 of 15 plays were runs on their first drive in the half. So maybe we'll see the same here on this one.
Going to keep it on the ground here. Kevin Say got past to John Martin, and he's going to pick up a 6-yard gain there. Let's check in with SFL HQ and Commissioner Cameron Irvine on the other game on the opposite side of this block.
Thank you, Jacob. Louisiana not making it easy on Fort Worth tonight, trying to pull the upset, but Marcus Dunhill hits the Cowboy, Robert Garrett Jr. early on. But Fort Worth, almost the end of the third quarter, has just 5 first downs and leads Louisiana just 7-6. Back to you in D.C. for another Sam Harrison run.
Called it on the spot there, Sam Harrison, and on the first down pick up there, he continues to be absurdly efficient on the ground and gets another first down for his troubles.
Quickly talk about that legless fan that we just saw in the replay there. That's, I've seen magic. You know, maybe David Copperfield's out to visit here in DC.
This is the Dragons Coliseum. After all, that's a great run there, but it's the best run that's ever lost a yard from the fullback there, and Chuck Stella, who nailed a defender in the backfield there, but still lost a yard off the back of it. And DC will go back to it here in a spread formation here with 2 up the top. It'll be handoff though to Kevin Say, who will try and get forward progress. That's better, gets 6 yards. And it'll bring up a third and medium. And Denver have been pretty good at defending these third down situations here, and they force Synergy to throw. Trying to replicate that here on this play. Synergy will have 3 wide again and a split back look. Denver are going to fan their linemen out, trying to get pressure around the edges. They're going away from Prokoko. Synergy rolls out. They got the sack there. Well done for Denver's defense. Joseph Sabolka's got a sack, and that stops the DC drive.
Yeah, it's just one positive you can take from this Denver defense right now. DC started 2 for 2 on those third down efficiencies. Now have been since then 0 of 5. So Denver's really shut things down and really forced DC into a punting scenario and giving the Denver offense opportunities to try to get back in this game.
And Denver know the inexperience on this DC line is on the tackle spot, so they went to the outside and got home. And now their offense can take over. And we'll see what kind of halftime adjustments that this Denver coaching unit made. They're going to try and get some service for that man there, Logan Keel. You know how good he can be. Mosley's the volume target, but Logan Keel's your big playmaker, along with Dylan Lewis, who had a strong half off his 2 targets and completions. But as highlighted by the stats truck with Eddie Gage and Jadubi Dule in the first half, averaged just 1.7 yards per play. Got to improve on that here in the second half. That handoff to R.A. Mills up the middle is met straight away by Josh Vasquez after a gain of 1.
Well, Jacob, there's your average right there. Denver getting 1 yard on the run, and they're trying to start things with Mills, which is, you know, an interesting take. We usually see things start off with Bailey O'Shaughnessy, but O'Shaughnessy's only had 4 runs on the ground so far in this game.
Struthers, pump wake, he's gone for a second time today. Guess who? It's that time. Kano Fortson gets home, and DC have got 2 sacks on the board.
Yeah, and we're talking about the league, one of the league leaders in sacks overall. Coming into this game, 2nd in the league in sacks. Now they get 2 more on the board, gives them 22 for this season. They've been doing great work to apply pressure to quarterbacks, and now getting 2 on the board, it's really causing Struthers trouble.
Struthers is now going to complete again, and then they've got O'Shaughnessy motioned in as a receiver again. Empty back set. Struthers is going to throw. That's picked by Highfield. Going back past the 30. And DC going to take this one right inside Denver territory.
Yeah, and that one's a heartbreaker too, because you can tell that Struthers is wanting to get to his, I believe that was Altair on the reception attempt, but Keel was in the vicinity too. But it just right place, right time, and Highfield, you know, gets his arms out, and DC already in field goal range can stretch this lead.
It's really tough for Denver to take now because they were just an opportunity to adjust after the second half break. And DC have taken the ball right out of their hands. And they can go back to what was working here. They got short yardage to work with to try and get a score on the board here. They're really building here, the Dragons. Hand off to Say, gets forward progress, 6 yards in fact, and pushes Denver back towards their own goal line.
Yeah, and Denver basically wishing that they had DC's run game throughout this, because you can see on those first plays, 4 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards. We've seen a couple of 8-yard runs from these running backs. They've been doing fantastic work, this offensive line, to get those gaps open for the running backs.
Hand off to Sam Harrison, who's lost the football, but DC are going to come up with it at the back there. Risky situation for Sam Harrison. They got jarred free for some good contact, but the ball just flew about 5 yards backwards, and Shabazz Synergy, or in fact it may have been Michael Percoco, was able to fall on it.
Yeah, and we were talking about Stephon Forge being an impact player for Denver. He jarred that ball loose. It's just unfortunate that Denver couldn't get to the ball.
Just another opportunity to stop here, but worst case scenario for the Dragons is a 4th down field goal here. Jay Hayden moved in motion. It's going to head in that direction.
Wow.
It's caught by Lauren Percoco. Stop it! Lauren Percoco breaks 2 tackles and takes it into the end zone. What a play from 47.
Not a lot of talk about Lauren Percoco throughout this game, so we can officially say that the doctor has checked in to the end zone. Passing game has been relatively quiet for DC, but why did they need to pass the football when everything else has been working? This is just icing on the cake. Percoco with another touchdown this season, pads her stats for the season, guaranteed all-star appearance now.
There's just nothing you can do about that. She is one of the premier talents, offensive talents in this entire league. She's unguardable, just one of the most impressive players we have seen in the last few seasons, and that's an example, case in point, of what she is capable of there. A 3rd down completion, broke a tackle, a spin move like she was a running back, and then took it all the way into the end zone for another DC touchdown. It's the first one they've scored with their offense as well. They've had 1 on special teams, 1 on defense, and now 1 on offense. As a return here from the returner now, Dylan Lewis trying to get downfield. Jeremy Mosley
How about
inside
this
the
for
30.
points?
Jeremy Mosley's got one here inside the 10, and Denver have responded. And right as DC put one on the board, it gets cancelled out. And that is your breakaway play of the game, presented by Breaks GPT, sports memorabilia breakers and collectors. You never know whose autographed helmet or jersey you might hit. Check them out at breaksgpt.com.
Yeah, and one of the other things that I can talk about with this new coaching staff is that they have emphasized special teams so much over the last couple weeks. We have seen multiple now kick sixes, punt return touchdowns from this Denver squad. This is how they get back into games, is through their special teams. Is this going to be the catalyst to bring them back in this game? Remember, second half against Arizona, they scored 17 unanswered points. Can they get the same deal here?
Lightning could very well strike twice. That could be the spur that gets them going here, as they gave up a touchdown on one end and then took one all the way back. And we've now seen 2 return touchdowns here on either side of the football, as Sam Harrison had one obviously on the very first possession that DC had, and now Jeremy Mosley gets one on the board that could potentially spur this Denver unit alive. That kickoff is not going to be returned from the foot of the end zone. DC will trot it out here, and again it all pins back to that turnover from Gene Struthers that set DC up inside their own opposing 30 there, resulted in a pretty comfortable touchdown drive. They've got to try and lock in now on defense. They've done well today, DC's defense, Denver's defense. Haven't done a whole lot wrong, despite finding themselves well behind on the scoreboard. But if anything that's going to get them back into this game, it is in fact this defense. And they've got to clock in on the run. That's Say. Runs outside. John Martin dragged him down. It's officially a 2-yard pickup for Kevin Say.
And again, DC's just going to trust on that run game to kind of really set the momentum. The lead is still the same as it was before, if you want to think about it. It's still a 17-point lead for these Dragons, so they're still sitting comfortable, but they got to make sure that they sustain first downs and they keep the ball on their side of the field.
Offset eye here. Fullback motioned out. Harrison the carry, straight up the gut, trying to get forward progress. And Lucas DeVore was there to make sure that didn't get further forward than it already did. And there'll be a third down and medium here, an opportunity for Denver to get a really quick stop here and get their offense back out on the field. They need to get the stop first. Back in the Twins formation, 2 receivers up the top. And neither of those receivers have had a reception yet in this game.
Looks like Prococo's double teamed right now.
Synergy will drop back. Pressure and gone. Sabolka's got 2.
Man, these defensive lines have really come to play here tonight. That's sack number 5 amongst these 2 defensive lines, and Sabolka, this is Gardner that comes in to just break through that the inner guard line and effectively stop DC's run. And Denver might get themselves a really good field position on this punt.
Logan Gardner, one of 5 players that Denver brought over from Jacksonville, and the offense gets a sack on the board, and it's the second for Denver in the ball game, and this is the field position they wanted. They're going to start this 5 yards shy of halfway, and again, that return touchdown from Jeremy Mosley would have been the catalyst to try and spur this team forward. It's the offense that needs to get a roll on here. The defense is doing what they can. Gene Struthers has got an opportunity, got to shake off the turnovers, and got to try and get something going here with Bailey O'Shaughnessy. Whether it be in space with the screens, whatever the case may be, it's R.A. Mills on the field here at that running back spot off to the left. The synergy, Struthers will throw, caught, what a play! Grabbed out of midair by Marquis Sango, and that is your Retroid nice hands catch of the game, brought to you by a Retroid. Put a Retroid handheld in your hands and play the only video game with your player in it, SFL 4K23.
And it's crazy. Denver has gotten both the breakaway player of the game and the nice hands catch of the game, but they're down 17. These are plays that you need to get back in this game, and certainly now in enemy territory, they got to start threatening in some form.
40 out. Sango remains on the field here. DC going to play up nice and close, expecting a run here. Struthers is going to throw. It's incomplete. Jekyll nearly had a breakaway there. If that was better placed, he could have broken that off, but it instead falls incomplete. Tyler Highfield has been playing really well today in that secondary spot.
Very tough throw from Gene, especially because that was double covered. So you need to get it on the right spot, and he's just missed, I would say, about an inch or 2 a little bit further. And like you said, it would have gone to the house.
Sango moved across again. Another empty back set here on second down. So Denver are really going aggressive at this DC defense. Dropping back again. Scott, the throw off the back foot, and it falls harmlessly incomplete. Luckily, there were linemen around to make sure that one didn't fall into a stray pair of defensive hands there. And I'll have another go here on 3rd and long. They're not in field goal range yet, although completion is needed here. O'Shaughnessy's out of the running back spot here, potentially motioned in as a receiver up the top there. Struthers will drop back, got a good block around the edge, caught by Mosley. He has stepped up massively, and that puts Denver at minimum in field goal range.
And Mosley was alone on an island on the solo side. He saw Jadoobie-Doo in the area, but that's just a soft zone from DC. And that's caused Mosley to basically be open the entire route. So Struthers could just look at him through, make sure he get that first down throw, and he gets it.
Denver knocking on the door again here. Another empty back set for Struthers. He's got to roll out. Sidearms are incomplete. Gee, I thought he had that there. Still on Logan Keel downfield, who still hasn't got a catch despite being heavily targeted. Just hasn't quite fallen for him yet. And it gives the playbook remains open here now. Logan Keel 0 for 5 in this game here. Usually much more supreme in that area of the field, but just hasn't got the service today from Gene Struthers. He's going to toss it to the outfield here, and R.E. Mills is going to lower the shoulder. He picks up 6 yards. It's really not a bad play call there, just to settle the nerves and make the 3rd down a relatively short 4 yards.
Yeah, and I like that play call from Denver because DC was definitely thinking pass throughout this entire way because that's what we've seen probably the last 4 plays. So getting it to Mills for 6 yards definitely eases the pressure a little bit to get the first down.
Backup running back is in again here. And Struthers is going to throw off the empty set. Throws off his back foot. It's caught by Sango. Can he get the forward progress? Second stiffer. Marquis
there he
Sango down
goes!
the sideline. What a play. That might be one of the plays of the season. Marquis Sango for 6.
You're talking about a tight end that catches the football, past the first down marker, has to turn back so he can get a little bit of extra space off the shedded tackle. Stiff arms through 1, sheds through 2, gets past DeSantis, gets past John Gary to the end zone. We're talking about strength. We're talking about speed. We're talking about agility to the end zone for Marquis Sango.
Unbelievable. And Denver might be repeating their efforts of the last couple of weeks where they've just been making these fourth quarter comebacks. That is a huge play. 22-yard touchdown from Marquis Sango. And at the end of this season, that's going to be replayed about 15 times because that's one of the best plays I've seen this season. What a touchdown from Marquis Sango, who started from behind the line of scrimmage and ended up taking it all the way to the house. And now DC are going to be sweating just a little bit here at home. Harrison on the return has met well. This special teams coverage again strong, as you mentioned. A real impetus of this Denver offense, Denver unit that's been worked on in recent weeks. And now DC are going to try and those team spats, Brad, have started to shift a little bit.
Yeah, they have shifted a little bit, and this might be DC starting to get a little bit too comfortable with the lead that they had. So they need to start to turn that gear, shift that gear into second or third, make that game move their way again.
Harrison beat the first. Stella outside picks up 7 on that carry. So he's been efficient when called upon. Has only had the 5 attempts compared to the 10 and 16 for Harrison and Say respectively. But now a combined 21 rushing attempts for this entire unit in the backfield. And it just opens the playbook here on 2nd and 3. Really 2nd and 2.5 here as Say is in the backfield. In a Joker's formation, Kirby is the lone receiver up the top. The motion down to the bottom. And handoff to Say, open space, great motion. That opened up plenty of room for Kevin Say to go forward and pick up a good chunk of yardage in a first.
Yeah, and looking at that, you took the words right out of my mouth. Because the motion from Percoco from top to bottom just opened up the field on the right to get that stretch run for Say, and it is just open season to get that first down.
Play calling as usual from Stephen Mullinax, excellent on the sideline. And now back in this ace formation, they've got Sam Harrison in the backfield. He'll get the carry, but great coverage up the middle. They forced that A-gap closed there, and a tackle made early. It's only a 2-yard pickup.
And this is what Denver's defense needs to do. Shut down the running game, which has been all over Denver's defense, and force Shabazz Synergy to throw the football, which he has only done 6 times in this game.
Throws Percoco, got it, short of the line though, and it'll force Synergy to have a go here on 3rd down and short. That's been Laura Percoco's bread and butter, really, those across the middle plays. She's only really broken one of them off, and that was a 6-pointer. And now, on a 3rd down and short, Kevin Say is going to be hard to stop from here. Offset eye, Joker's formation again. Denver are going to really put some pressure on that gap there on the middle, and they didn't get there, and Say is going to pick up the first down. Jeff Melanishin had to crash forward and get the tackle.
Do it.
3 quarters down, and the 4th upcoming. Could Denver pose the upset here?
The Simulation Football League is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or account of the game without the express written consent of the league office is prohibited.
Well, if you like what we're doing, your time is now to get your voice on the call. We're looking for passionate SFL participants to join our broadcast team for the continuation of SFLM Season 9 kicking off next month. Make sure you visit simfl.broadcasting.net/broadcasting to get more details on how to get your voice on these games here in this exciting final few weeks here. You could be involved next season when the crunch time happens. Here is a carry for Chuck Stella. His motion to the outside. He picks up the 10 yards and a first down.
Talking about broadcasters, let's see if we can get Topher Kiefer up in the booth. Have you heard his voice?
Oh, man.
He's got one of the most beautiful voices out there, and he's not representing it.
There are so many people that I wish did this. It's so much fun. If you've ever thought about it, trust me, it's one of the best things you can do in this league. It's a ton of fun. We're having fun here watching this game with you all. 10th finish here. It's only a 10-point ball game, but DC are driving downfield. They're going to try and extend that lead. Throw caught. First down. First time they've even thrown or looked at a receiver today, and Josh Gill gets a first down completion.
It's so funny looking at this season, seeing Josh Gill's numbers. I kind of have to, blink twice and actually, try to understand that he only has 109 yards coming into this game. I remember the Josh Gill of old. They used to have multiple 1,000-yard campaigns under his belt, but because of the dynamic of Lauren Percoco it's made it tough for Gill to get those catches, but he still comes in clutch when they need him.
And off up the middle, that's going to pick up a couple of yards there for Kevin Say. Someone's asking how to join the commentary team. simfl.net/broadcasting. And you can fill out the application form on the website. Looking for more talent leading into the SFL season so that us Major League broadcasters can get a rest. Even though I suspect both of us will be somewhat involved in the SFL Season 9 season upcoming. Harrison now on a run. Spin move, trying to get forward. Gets a good chunk of yardage there, and it's going to be 1 yard shy of the first down here. They're inside the red zone here, so a stop here for the Denver defense is not too detrimental for the Dragons because they're in field goal range. And the Joker's set here. They've been very hard to stop in these third down and short situations. It's going to be a carry for Say. Outside, got past the first man. Melanishin had to drag him down with support from Luke Schreiner. But it's a first down and inside goal to go territory.
And it's just trusting on those runs. We've seen 10 plays on this drive, and 7 of them have been run plays. And I don't blame it at all because that run offense has been stellar throughout this game. I believe they're over 160 yards of rushing in this game.
Toss play. Harrison's got one on through of special teams, and he's got one on the ground. And that might be the sword in the stone for the Nightwings.
And that one was another great run from Sam Harrison. He's done that again, and just looking at the gaps, following his lead blocks, making sure he's got the space between himself and defending to get to the end zone. This has been a masterclass from Sam Harrison tonight.
You can't say he didn't deserve another one. He obviously had that huge punt return in the opening quarter. He's now got one on the ground after a really efficient day, backing up for Kevin Say, and it's another 4+ minute drive for the Dragons that really sucks the life out of this Denver unit. And saying for a fact that it was that Mosley return touchdown that got them back into the game, and then that ridiculous touchdown play from Marquis Sango that kept it within 10 points. And it's now kicked back out to 17 where it was to end the first half. It makes it very hard for the Nightwings to try and forge a comeback. But again, as you mentioned, 17 unanswered last week against the Arizona Scorpions. Don't want to keep bringing that up with Eddie Gage in the stats truck, but Logan Keel returns that one up to the 28, and we'll see if they could repeat those efforts from last week.
Yeah, and big key here coming from Denver is just try to sustain this, because it might feel out of reach, but sometimes one big explosive play can really get you back into this game. So let's see what Denver can bring to the table on this drive.
This makes it tough on the road in this stadium. The Dragons are very tough to play on their home turf. Struthers, handoff delayed up the middle. Ari Mills has thrown Jason Strongbow into the dirt, and he's picked up 11 yards. That's the best rush of the day for the Denver offense.
Yeah, and sometimes this is just what you need. You need to get those big plays from somewhere, and Mills does great work. This is what I want to see R.E. Mills do in this game. We don't want to see those toss plays all so often. He's big, he's meaty, he's got strength. Put him up the middle, and he gets yards.
Struthers now will drop back to throw. That's way too big, and it's picked off by Darryl Bullock. Going back in the other direction, O'Shaughnessy had to make sure he got the tackle, and Struthers has shot himself in the foot one more time, and the Dragons are going to take this over inside Denver territory.
Man, you called it. It was just thrown way too far, looking for Keel, and it's just, again, one of the big woes from Struthers' day is the errant throwing that he's had. A lot of the times it's just been passes broken up, but when he's had those open looks, we've seen a couple overthrows, and that one was by far the most egregious overthrow we've seen tonight.
A couple of them have been like just good secondary play from Saeed Gore and Tyler Eiffel, but that one was genuinely at the fault of Gene Struthers, and another run for Say. He just picks up 10 yards like it's nothing, and that keeps Denver really reeling backwards now.
Why worry about your pass game when the running has been your main focus and has been your main success? So now Say, he had slight struggles in that first half, but he has performed so well in this second half. He's, at this rate, he will break that century mark if he continues on this pace.
He's certainly projecting to crack just that. Another run here for Sam Harrison, trying to get forward progress. Again, just roll forward. Like Denver are getting pressure up at the line of scrimmage, but they're just getting there with their speed, just crashing forward. And again, Chuck Steller is getting into the work there as well. And this offensive line's creating gaps for them. Stellar's creating the blocks, and the speed of these backs are just punishing them at the moment going forward. Say's back in the fold here on a second and short. Offset eye. This time they're going to load up the box one more time. 5 up front for Denver. 3 linebackers as well. And Say is just going to rumble up the middle.
Open.
Kevin Say all the way home. Could not stop him. And Kevin Say's got a touchdown on the board.
Talk about icing on the cake to get yourself to the century mark in the game. Kevin Say breaking down defenders like it's a literal piece of cake. He's just the cutlery that slices through, goes right through 2 defenders, and then drags John Martin to the end zone with him. That is classic Kevin Say, classic DC football.
And just like that, it's ballooned right back out. Kevin Say hits that century mark, as you alluded to, and they've effectively doubled the offensive totals now, DC over Denver. Rushing totals are particularly harrowing for the Nightwings, and especially given we remember that Bailey O'Shaughnessy is one of the highest paid running backs in this entire league, and just has been silenced today. He's been taken off the field a lot as well, at the expense of Ari Mills, who's had some good carries, had some mixed bag carries as well. But they just haven't quite got the game plan right tonight, Denver, with their usage of that backfield. Mosley's going to try and generate something here on a return again, but this is the Dragons' night. They're now almost certainly going to push themselves back above 500. This was a real, swing game for the Dragons tonight, as Denver now will almost certainly fall to their 6th loss after just getting that momentum breaker last week. It just wasn't meant to be tonight.
And yeah, it's just a second half explosion from this run game on DC. Denver, it was very much, you could definitely say that defense was bending, but then it eventually broke.
Mention that. Denver now, handoff up the middle. Mills, that's the difference right there. Owen Mills stopped by Jason Strongbow, and a huge credit as well. DC's offensive line got 3 rookies, all of which that they signed in mid-season, but they've also got a combined 16 seasons of experience between Michael Pokoko and Robert Cron on that defensive line. Pokoko's got 2 All-Star appearances as well to boot. They've been outstanding today. Ari Mills, another carry, so they've just completely abandoned Paul Bailey O'Shaughnessy, who can't even get on the field at the moment. That's only going to pick up a yard, and Denver are going to be forced into a quick 3rd down and long.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if this would be 4 down territory for them, but they need to start slinging that football now at 3rd and 9.
They've completely gone into their shell here, the Nightwings. They're going to throw it to the backfield. O'Shaughnessy is not going to have much to do there, and it's going to be a 5-yard pickup that's stopped by Jason Strombo, and they'll quickly trot the punter back out there, and DC can party this one home.
Yeah, very, very much not really conceding per se, but they know this offense is just not panned out to what they have really wanted it to be, so they're kind of forced into a hand of punting this football away, giving it back to DC so they could possibly run this clock out.
Harrison beat the first, beat the second. Sam Harrison almost thought he was going to do it again there. What an evening for him. He is really broken out tonight, and I tell you, DC always sort of seems to quietly go about their business, but if this backfield can continue playing at this kind of rate behind the offensive line play they've had today, they're a real threat if they get their foot in the playoffs, as they always are. This DC unit just seems to always find a way underneath the guys of Stephen Mullinak's. Final in the other game, Fort Worth have topped the Louisiana Revolution 20 points to 6. So this one's had far more scoring in it than that one, safe to say. Handoff on the outside. Say, open space, past halfway. Only Melanician to beat. The spin move couldn't quite shake him off. But it's another huge chunk of yardage for Kevin Say, who's going to get upwards of 150 by the time this one's done.
Yeah, just breezing his way through. And it's sometimes it's not fair when you have your running backs, just starting to heat up in the fourth quarter when you're up big at this point, and they continue to just ram it down the field. And like you said, Say pushing close to 150 yards. And you see it right there at a $142 on 23 carries. Both Say and Harrison have been basically this entire DC offense. 230 of 286 yards have been on the run.
It's quite unbelievable. And Harrison himself off 14 carries is 3/4 of the way to a century mark himself. He gets another carry here, picks up 3 yards, and keeps this drive going. They can really wind this clock down if they want to and really take home a headline win for the Dragons. This is a statement win. Again, Denver really stole the headlines last week with their huge win, but have been silenced here tonight. This Dragons unit has shown up, and when they needed to as well. It's been a real mixed bag season for the Dragons, but produced when they really needed to. And this run game has looked back to where it was, sort of not only in seasons past, but also in recent weeks. And leaves DC with still a chance. Probably the division's still out of reach for them. They've got a chance to really make a playoff push now, a win above 500. That carry from Kevin Stay is stopped after just a yard, and have to trot out the offense here on a third down, try and convert this.
And just looking forward for DC, they kind of needed a win as dominant as this one too, because you look at their last 3 opponents of the season: at Arizona, home against Baltimore, at Fort Worth, who just won. So that's a tough last 3 games of their schedule. This is a good momentum setter into those games.
Hand off now to Kevin Say, and he will pick up a few yards. They're not shot, not quite the first down required, but the benefit for DC is it's probably the best time ever to get Arizona, if there is even a good time to have Arizona on the schedule, as they're getting them after a Monday night berth with Florida. Of course, coming up this weekend on Monday night with Cam and Charles. That might be one of the best on the docket for this entire season. Again, those two teams coming off of losses. Those coaching staffs are really reeling and are hungry to get back in the winners column, but only one of them can, as Caleb Richards trots this one out, tries to swing it up and gets it through and good. And DC have put this one out to a 40-point margin on their own column.
Man, yeah, complete running performance from this DC offense really has led this way. Now we get to the 2-minute warning. Let's see if Denver can still play for pride with this last 120 seconds left in this contest.
Denver will get last possession here before the game is out. Kickoff returned from the back of the end zone here, and Logan Keel will trot this one out to the 20. And if you're looking for more football, we've got it right here on SFL YouTube. Week 11 will continue tomorrow, headlined by a showdown in the East between 5 and 4 Atlanta and 5 and 3 Nashville at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, plus Chicago Motor City, Bossier City against Charleston, and Mexico City, Queen City. It's another doubleheader, SFL Sunday, right here on SFL YouTube. And now Denver, from their own 20, trying to get something going here for pride. They're going to throw it. It's incomplete to Marquis Sango. And again, to highlight the headline game of the entire weekend. Arizona taking on Florida in the eye on Monday night. That should be a spectacular game. Never in quite some time have both of those coaching staffs been as hungry as they will be on Monday. That should be must-watch television here on SFL YouTube. And now, DC, though, have made the headline performance, and they needed to with the schedule that they've got faced ahead of them to try and make a playoff push of their own. And this might be the sword in the stone for Denver's season, but certainly a lot to build off of, especially after some impressive wins this season, some impressive performances. Then they hung, Brett, with DC for quite some time. They started to forge a comeback. They were making a game out of it, but it just got away from them with a couple of cheap turnovers.
Yeah, almost feels like their season so far. Here now they're going to go to 3-6. They've had spurts of brilliance. I will say that about Denver, but there have been moments where it's not gone good for them, and now you see it as results. Logan Keel gets that first down. They're going to call a timeout on the play, but just looking through here, you're talking about 44-7 against Charleston on that loss, and then they start to try to keep things close games against Minnesota and Nashville before the Arizona win, and this one has kind of brought them back down to the ground.
It's always an acclimation period for a new coaching staff as that throw is picked off. Oh, Jadooby-Doo. He's been doing it on stats tonight, and he's got an interception for his good work.
And there's your reward, Mr. Dew. You got yourself an interception on this marker, and that really caps off a very unfortunate performance for Gene Struthers, who will finish this game with a 4th interception and finishes the game only 10 of 29. It's been a very much a struggle in the passing game, and Struthers just couldn't get himself going from the get-go, and you see it from start to finish.
And they can go to the ground here and continue to add some numbers to these backs here as Kevin Say gets a carry to the outside, picks up 5 yards. And just reading here as well, Shabazz Synergy's had 8 pass attempts. Dare I say, Brett, DC have looked very Canton-like tonight. This has been a real Canton performance where they've just had both of the backs have just been running ad nauseum, and the defense has played out of its skin, and the quarterback has had to do nothing really. Thrown a touchdown though, Shabazz Synergy, so hasn't exactly gone out of here doing nothing. And they'll go into the victory formation here, and Denver will burn their final timeout. So this will likely end here as is, 41-14. DC, what a win. When they needed one most, they've come out and made a statement here at home.
Yeah, and that's going to be a big statement because, like I said before, they only have one more home game left. And it's going to be against a Baltimore team that's probably wanting to get themselves in the top of the North Division with Canton right at the forefront of it all. So you've got 3 angry teams that DC has got to face to get themselves into basically the playoff picture, and this is going to help them a lot.
A lot of angry teams around the league at the moment, I'm finding, but it makes for some really good competition. And this DC team was angry tonight because they've come out and produced a huge win again. Lost to Lexington a week ago. They needed to recover from that, and they've done exactly that and have put themselves right back in the fold here as Caleb Richards will make another one here to try and keep that 100% record intact here from 44 yards out as the ticker rolls down inside 20 seconds. That's straight down the middle, and it's a 30-point victory here for the Dragons at home.
And that's really going to help things when it comes to point differential as well. And DC will definitely bring their point totals up. And there's one thing that we haven't discussed so far in this game, and we haven't talked about DC's stellar defense, only allowing 16 points per game. You see the number there. This is status quo for the DC defense.
And it's the defense that can hang right with them. It's just the offense who hasn't quite hit its stride this season. They've generated turnovers with their defense, and their offense has capitalized on those turnovers, and they've gotten touchdowns on every facet of play today. And for Denver, just back to the drawing board once more here as they will have the last possession here. Again, really, this playoff race starts to really shape up here in the next few weeks. This is a time of the year where you got to start watching pretty much every game because your team is somehow involved in that game, and particularly looking at this road ahead for DC. That's a throw out of hands, incomplete, and obviously Baltimore are going to be hungry when this DC team goes to face them. They lost earlier this weekend on Friday night to their old divisional opponents in Carolina quite heavily as well, as you bore the full force of in the around the SFL fantasy, which we won't highlight too heavily, as that throw from Struthers to O'Shaughnessy is hanging up to the best of us, and that will force the clock into expiry. What a win for the Dragons, 44-14. They've put a 30-point deficit here. Stephen Mullinax is back to classic Stephen Mullinax here as the Dragons have made a statement win to put themselves back in the playoff hunt. Brett Stolberg unpacked what we just saw.
Basically, running masterclass from DC. Sam Harrison, Kevin Say, those two are the guys you need to focus on in this entire game. Denver barely had the football, as you can see from the time possession stats, but it was mainly Day and Harrison. There you see it, 151 and 81. Both got touchdowns, and Sam Harrison starting the game off with that punt return touchdown, but it was slow going for Denver. They had that very memorable third quarter, 2 unanswered touchdowns that got the game within 10, but DC just broke things completely open in the fourth quarter. Ends up being a 30-point victory, a momentum-shifting game for both teams. And DC needs it. Denver needs to turn things around next week.
We say thank you to Cameron Irvine back at SFL HQ, and of course Eddie Gage and Jadoobie Doo, who got that final interception on the ball for DC defense for their efforts on stats tonight. We say also congratulations to Jadoobie Doo for the win, and good luck to Eddie Gage for his competition match on Monday night. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for more football, 4 more games on Sunday, and of course Arizona at Florida on Monday night, headlined by This Week in the SFL. We'll see you then. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Have a good rest of your evening.
Benny.